Hi, this is Danielle and Jonathan with Kepperling Preservation Services. We are doing our first coffee break in a while. We got busy and we got away from it, but we're trying to get back on track to do this every other week, to jump on and talk about preservation and then answer questions if anybody comes on with us. I even put it in our newsletter to as a upcoming event so that so I would have to come on. If you're not on our mailing list, just message me and we can send you out a copy. This issue of the newsletter was about preservation and sustainability. So anyway, it is spring now, almost summer. I guess it'll be summer next week. And we're busy helping people maintain their homes and getting ready to do a project that's pretty much a maintenance project. It's pretty much all deferred maintenance. The people who owned the house prior didn't maintain it for 25 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's hardly any paint left on the exterior woodwork, and so we're gonna help that project. So anyway, I thought we could talk about maintenance and why it's important to maintain your building. All buildings deteriorate, and all buildings have maintenance that needs to be done. I always say when something is maintenance free, it usually means that it's meant to be thrown away. There's nothing that's maintenance free completely. You either need to maintain it or it's disposable. And I'd rather have things that need to be maintained than everything in my life to be disposable. Um, so when you're looking at the exterior of a building though, and you want to look at like what do I need to maintain, the whole goal is to keep the water out of your building. So you want to look at roof penetrations, the chimney. If you have masonry, make sure that the mortar's in good condition. Around the window frames, the door frames, the gutters. Make sure the gutters are cleaned out. That's an issue you just saw this week.
Yep.
Where a log wall was not drying out because
One, the tree is too close and it blocks the sun in the morning, and by the afternoon it's already around the front. Well, it pretty much was causing the tree was pine needles were going into the gutter, clogging, overflowing, and running down on to the side of the log house, which caused deterioration. Well, if it was gutter was kept clean, it wouldn't have caused it to get wet. And two, the tree was stopping the sun from doing its job to help dry out the wood.
so yeah, and usually we say, um if if old growth wood can dry out, it'll be fine even
Mhm.
if it gets wet. But it's when it's in that constant wet condition, it can't dry out. That's when you usually have problems. But with proper maintenance, are the buildings that were built, pre World War II, can most cases the building and the component can last longer than a modern building. Um, so when you're thinking about maintaining your building, you want to go through a checklist of maintenance. When you're looking at the roof, you want to make sure that the materials are in good shape, that it's not there's not holes. Although on a wood roof, sometimes you might see cracks, but the wood swells as the rain falls. So but you want to make sure that you're not seeing like cupping on a wood roof is not a good thing. Warping,
Missing shingle.
missing shingles, decay, rusting, missing pieces like on slate. Like oftentimes a piece of slate will fall down and you'll see where it has the crack there where the slate would have laid on top of it. You with metal roofing, you can repair and paint every 5 to 10 years. All of the roofing should last 10 to 15 10 or sorry 20 to 50 years. And slate can even last longer. There's some slate that's 150, 200-year slate, depending on the quality of the slate, because that is a natural material.
And
But
how it was installed.
right, and how it was installed. But there's repair that can be done. So it doesn't, just because there's something wrong with the roof doesn't mean that it necessarily needs a complete redo. You look at the structure. Is the roof level? There are some like vernacular buildings in Pennsylvania that had a swoop at the bottom of the roof. And that was how they were built. That was how they were intended to be built. So just, you kind of have to know a little bit about the local architecture to know if you need to fix something or if it was supposed to be that way. But check the rafters, make sure that, see if there's water coming in, make sure that it's dry underneath. As long as it's dry and there's no, there's no cracking, there's none have been cut for putting dormers or something else in, that should last indefinitely. There shouldn't be any reason to replace that. Flashing around penetrations on the roof and the chimneys, your gutters and your downspouts. You want to look for rusting, paint loss if they're painted, sagging on the gutters, missing pieces, blockages, like if the gutter's not cleaned out, or poor drainage. You want to make sure it's draining towards, and then the downspout is draining away from the building. Fix the gutter hangers if you need to, clean out the gutters twice a year. Check the elbows and the other connection points for like debris that has gone in. And then just, repair or remove rust, repaint, repair holes, solder. That's the maintenance for those. I'm not opposed to those gutter guards that keep the debris out of the, because they're low profile. You really can't see them from the ground. So if you have an area that's hard to reach, has a lot of trees, that's probably a good solution. Mm-hmm. For the decorative elements, your cornices, your finials, your exterior woodwork that's up on the roof, or the roof level. Check for loose pieces, check for rust if they're metal wraps, and that depends on the age of the house. Deteriorated cornice. This is when I get into my interior gutter discussion, where, an interior gutter, the Victorians really like them, so you won't see like the half round gutter on the outside. It will just be a big fancy cornice. Well, there's still a gutter in there. It's just in a trough, hidden behind the cornice. And you usually don't realize that those are failing until you start to see water coming out of the bottom, and then you're in trouble. They're really expensive to fix because usually those cornices are multiple pieces, like 6 to 10 pieces. So that's a lot of millwork. And usually by then you've also lost structural integrity. So if you have an interior gutter, make sure you check it, and then they can be relined. There's roofers that will do that. Just with metal roofing tin, you can resolder the joints, and same principles. Make sure it's flowing towards the downspout. The other place that you see it, not just at the cornice level, or on bay windows. A lot of times in the city you see those on bay windows, but that's an area of maintenance that a lot of people might not realize that they need to take care of. But check for moisture infiltration, and then repair and repaint every 5 to 10 years. It's really hard to get a longer paint job than that, and that's because of the quality of paint that we have. There are some paint options that you can get you can import from Fine Paints of Europe. It's very expensive. It has a high pigment, and it's oil-based still. So that they get around the VOC requirements. And then, oops, that's Miss Leia, our puppy. She, what was it? Oh, but we typically use a lot of Benjamin Moore paints. Domestically, I think they're the best for pigment, the pigment, I can't think of what word I want to use. They have a high pigment content, so that their colors stay true and their paint is good quality. And we use an oil-based primer to prepare. And 2 finish coats. We had a painter recently try to get away with, he didn't know that we wanted 2 finish coats, and I thought that was standard, so I was a little shocked by that. And then the chimney of the parapet, is the chimney sagging? Is it leaning? Is it bowing? Are the mortar joints all there? Or is there, you know, has it started to deteriorate? Is there a chimney cap? Are there any loose or missing bricks? The pointing should last 50 years or more. If you're going to repoint, make sure you use a low tensile lime-based mortar. If you're not going to get like a hydraulic lime-based mortar, nothing harder than a Type O. And repointing should just be, you know, limited areas depending on what it needs to be. And, you know, if you have any missing brick, there's a couple of brick repair options. There's a Lithomax that you can buy from specialty stores, but you can also buy reclaimed brick and then put reclaimed brick back in. So that's you know, what you need to do to maintain your roof. I guess in a couple of weeks we will do how to maintain your windows and doors. So if you have any questions, if you need anything else, feel free to reach out. And then also, again, if you want to get on our mailing list, feel free to reach out, and I'll be happy to send you out a newsletter.